Uruk stands as one of the oldest cities on Earth. Emerging in southern Mesopotamia, it was an ancient cradle of human civilization, laying the architectural and cultural groundwork for the millennia that followed. The records of this city, inscribed in cuneiform on wet clay, lay buried and shattered for centuries. We must reconstruct its grandest narrative from these fragmented, damaged edges, piecing together a story almost lost to time. In the 19th century, scholars painstakingly deciphered these relics. They confirmed the authenticity of the text, establishing it as humanity's oldest surviving literature. The plot follows Uruk's powerful king. Terrified by death, he embarks on an agonizing quest for physical immortality, traversing the ends of the earth. In the end, he categorically fails to secure the prize he sought. If we read this text strictly as a historical chronicle of a failed expedition, we trap it in the literal. Beneath the surface narrative lies a meticulous, initiatory architecture. The Epic of Gilgamesh exhibits a structural resonance with what later traditions describe as the transformation of the human soul. To be precise, ancient Mesopotamians were not practicing medieval alchemy. We are examining deep structural correspondences, shared psychological patterns resonating across isolated eras. In the esoteric tradition, this process is known as the Great Work. The philosopher's true objective is never the transmutation of physical lead into gold, but the elevation of human consciousness from ignorance to wisdom. Place Mesopotamian mythology next to Hermetic philosophy or Jungian psychology. They do not intersect historically, yet they share a structural symmetry in their psychological scaffolding. To grasp the magnitude of the king's journey, we must strip away the ancient dirt. His quest acts as a timeless allegory for the grueling process of psychological individuation. We meet Gilgamesh at his most arrogant. He is the unrefined, conscious ego, prideful and tyrannical. In alchemical terms, he is the raw, volatile royal sulfur, a powerful force completely out of balance. The gods recognize this instability and create a counterweight, Enkidu. He is a creature of the steppe, the wild, instinctual shadow self. Before any alchemical transmutation can occur, the philosopher requires the prima materia, the untamed, chaotic base material. Enkidu provides this crucial primal substance. Initially, these two forces, the towering intellect of Uruk and the fierce nature of the wild, clash. They repel one another, locked in a destructive binary that cannot evolve on its own. Spiritual maturation never happens in isolation. The conscious ego is forced to confront and integrate its primal shadow. The catalyst for this integration arrives in the form of Shamhat. Through sacred intimacy and exposure to culture, she systematically civilizes the wild man. Within the esoteric framework, Shamhat functions as the mercurial mediator, or the Sophie archetype, divine wisdom clothed in human form. Pure spirit and untamed nature cannot combine directly. A transformative feminine principle serves as the functional bridge between these two poles, translating base instinct into human consciousness. The king's physical domination achieves nothing. True initiation sparks only when a mediator facilitates the union of opposites. Reunited, the heroes leave the city for the cedar forest. Symbolically, they are breaching the hidden sanctuary of the unconscious mind. Inside, they face monsters like Humbaba and the Bull of Heaven. These are not mere beasts to be slain. They are Saturnian guardians deployed to test the newly integrated psyche. We see this exact mechanism in the Minotaur of Crete, or the serpentine dragons guarding the golden apples. They stand firm at the threshold of the inner sanctum. Every sacred psychological treasure is insulated by terrifying illusions. The seeker must conquer them to prove their readiness for what comes next. The victory is short-lived. The gods demand retribution, and Enkidu is struck down. Gilgamesh watches his shadow self perish, plunging into paralyzing despair. The illusion of invincibility shatters. Grief becomes a visceral, inescapable weight as the king confronts the terrifying reality of his own mortal limits. This is the Nigredo, the blackening phase of the great work. Innocence dies, and the rigid structures of the old ego dissolve completely into darkness. Later alchemical manuals illustrate this precise phase of putrefaction. The fires of the Athanor burn the material down to its darkest state, an absolute requirement for rebirth. We see this moment as the turning point of the entire work. The immense suffering and the bitter taste of mortality are the mandatory prerequisites for esoteric wisdom. Driven by terror, Gilgamesh wanders to the ends of the earth. He ultimately crosses the lethal waters of death in search of salvation. Hermetically, this crossing represents Solve, the complete dissolution of his former royal identity. The king is gone, only the desperate seeker remains. He arrives at the feet of Utnapishtim, the immortal survivor of the Great Flood. Here stands the perfected Hermetic master at the end of the journey. But the master offers no eternal life. Instead, Utnapishtim issues a harsh, unyielding lesson on the boundaries of human existence. The true adept never saves the seeker. Their role is to systematically prove that the cosmic laws of nature cannot be bypassed. In a final act of desperation, Gilgamesh pulls a rejuvenating plant of life from the deep ocean floor, but as he rests, a serpent steals it away. The snake sheds its translucent skin, discarding its old form to begin anew, leaving the exhausted king with nothing. This is the Ouroboros in action. It is the ultimate symbol of cyclical time, perpetual renewal, and the uncompromising laws of the cosmos. Centuries later, Renaissance engravings echoed this exact iconography, intertwining the serpent with the elusive quintessence. The paradox is absolute. Gilgamesh loses the physical prize, yet by witnessing the serpent's endless cycle, he absorbs the transcendent wisdom of the eternal order. This culminates in the Rubedo, the red work. It is the final stage of alchemical integration, marked by true self-mastery. Gilgamesh returns to Uruk with empty hands, yet he is a deeply refined, wise, and just participant in the world he once terrorized. This shift suggests the text is not a record of a failed escape from death, but a guide to the mastery of life. Humanity's oldest epic reveals the ultimate esoteric truth. The true philosopher's stone is not a physical object to be held. It is the complete and permanent transformation of consciousness.